Hi, Mikhail. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hi, yeah. Just on Thomas Partey, you mentioned him there before. I think he's only played a full 90 minutes twice since he arrived, which is obviously crazy. Did you see enough in those matches, you think, to think he can really change the dynamic of the team and the way that you play as a group?
absolutely, and obviously because we are able to watch him in training and who he is as well. I think he's got a different presence. I think he brings something different to the team. It's not just about his talent. It's not about his physicality. It's who he is as a person. He makes players better around him, and that's a big quality. It's incredible that we are in January. We signed him in the summer, and we only played him twice. So we haven't really seen the impact that we believe that he could have on the team. Obviously, we have missed him. In the other hand, we've seen players stepping in as well when that happens, that they give us some really positive news as well. But I think it's going to be a big bonus if we can keep him fit.
It's obviously a really difficult time to move countries, move clubs, try and settle in somewhere during, I think, what's now probably his third lockdown. How hard has that been, do you think, psychologically for him? And have you had to manage him differently or be careful with him around that side of things as well as his injuries?
Yes, because when you are injured, you feel first of all the responsibility. When the club had made the effort that we made to sign him, he was so willing for months to be joining us. He really wants to be a part. He knows how much he can help. And then he had to deal with the injuries and with the lockdown and moving into a new place. And that's been tough for him. That's why sometimes he was rushing and he wanted to do everything straight away because he's so willing to come back. He doesn't want to be alone at home. He's in a really good place. To be fair, he sets up really well in the dressing room. Around the staff is a special character, and hopefully we can see him on the pitch finally.
You mentioned just a few minutes ago he tested negative for COVID. Was there a COVID issue with Thomas?
No, it wasn't. No.
Okay, cool. And just lastly from me, I was hoping to ask you briefly about Shkodran Mustafi, who's obviously hardly played in the league this season. His contract's coming to an end. Do you expect him to leave this month, or would you rather keep him there as backup until the end when he can go as a free?
Well, Musti came back from a really difficult injury when he got injured at the end of last season. Up to that period, I think he was doing really well. I think his performances were increasing and getting better and better. And when he came back, it was the moment when we had 7 or 8 central defenders. So he had to get his performance level up. I think physically still needed some time. Then he started to play some games in Europe, which I think he did well as well. And now it's about, when do you make the next step to be the starter? And the reality is that we had to change that for different reasons, use different personnel. He's been very close in a few games, but now we found as well a partnership that is giving us clean sheets. And sometimes when you do that, it's difficult to change, but he's still in contention.
And as for his future, obviously contracts running out. What do you think will happen with that
His
one?
future right now is here and trying to help. We have Papas that probably is going to leave the club in this window. We have William that is already gone on loan. So we don't have that many right now. Gabi's been out now for a period. David has been injured. So the situation is completely different to before.
Okay, thanks, Mika.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Go to Mark Owen from The Sun.
Hi, Mikel. Just looking at the league table, I mean, this year, in the last few years, the title race has almost been over by this time of the year. This time it's so tight and no one's been any consistency at all. Why do you think that is? Is it because of the special circumstances of the fixture list this season?
I think so. I think the teams are not as consistent because everything around is not as consistent. We had to change everything. All the protocols that we had, for example, to start a season with a preseason, it didn't exist. We have 2 training sessions before we play the Community Shield, and then we started to play the league. The squads that we have to manage this year are bigger than ever. The restriction we have for training to preparation, they are stringent. There is no crowds. There is a lot going on. And maybe you can sustain that for a few months when it goes down to 10, 12 months is more complicated. And you see it in other leagues as well. You see the league tables in other leagues, and there is not any precedent in football like this. So it has to be something. We can imagine that there are things related to that, Nick, but it's difficult to say it's exactly that because it's the first time it happened. But something is going on, that's for sure.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, people were talking about you being in a relegation battle. You win your next 3 or 4 games, and suddenly you're looking at the top 4. Is that an unrealistic target for where you are at the moment?
Well, today is not because we haven't won those games, but that we know we've got the capacity to win those games. We're going to be looking at the season in a completely different way. And this is where the motivation and now the positivity has to kick on to really go for it.
Do you sort of take a bit of heart from someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Because I mean, when you beat them, it's only 2 months ago, everyone was writing off Man United and slagging them off. And now, this week, they could suddenly go top of the league.
This industry works like that. We are just based on results, and if you are guided by that, a game that is a very low score game, it's very dangerous thing to do because the margins to win or lose is 1 goal. In other sport, it doesn't happen.
But have you sort of sensed a change of mood around the club as a result of winning 4 games?
Yes, because as we talked in previous weeks, I think winning brings you something that even not playing well, everything is so positive and fluid and energy is good, and losing is just a devastating thing to have around the place, and it's what it is.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and finally, we'll go on to the embargo of 12 o'clock on Thursday.